Welcome to How to Practice Neutral and Organic Intelligence. I'm Dr. Bok Ho. Neutral is a state of feeling comfortable, a low intensity comfort or low intensity pleasure or low intensity feeling well, as opposed to a state of intensity, pleasurable or painful, and of being available for and interested in pleasure. In neutral, you're available for and interested in pleasure, both the pleasure in neutral, the low intensity pleasure, and higher intensity pleasure. I'm feeling neutral, not intensely good, not in pain, and I'm available for pleasure and interested in pleasure. I'm enjoying the pleasure in neutral, and if someone tells a joke and I find it funny and get shifted into more intense pleasure, I'll laugh and enjoy all the high intensity pleasure available from the laughter. And then as I settle back to neutral, I'll enjoy the pleasure in the settling and in neutral. Feeling no pleasure or pain, or feeling nothing, no feeling, no access to feeling, and being uninterested in pleasure maybe counts as neutral as an edge case and is to be enjoyed whenever possible and when pleasure isn't an option. If enjoying feeling nothing is nonsensical, then go with appreciating feeling nothing, appreciating not being agitated by feeling. I will understand neutral in its primary sense as a state of feeling pleasure, feeling well, feeling comfortable, of low intensity, and being available for and interested in pleasure. So low intensity pleasure as opposed to high intensity pleasure and as opposed to no pleasure. Think warm campfire as opposed to blazing fire and as opposed to no fire. It died or could never get started, just cold winter. Practicing neutral means practicing being in this state and moving in its direction. The value of more access to neutral is less pain and more pleasure, both low intensity and high intensity pleasure. More access to neutral means pain will be rarer, shorter, and less intense. And neutral itself, low intensity pleasure, is pleasure. And more access to neutral means you can experience high intensity pleasure without pain. What if this pleasure doesn't last forever? How can I live unless this pleasure lasts forever? No pain because your fallback is neutral. All right, let me show you the slides. Okay, I've moved to the first slide of two. The title is How to Practice Neutral, and two items. Number one, orientation. Number two, build access to neutral and pleasure within orientation. And let's start with number one, orientation. If you're not familiar with orientation, check out my videos and Substack posts on orientation. A recent one is how to practice orientation. Orientation is the gold standard of neutral. If you're able to orient, it means interior intensity, thoughts, images, feelings, isn't intense enough to hostage or preoccupy the attention. Interior experience is more neutral as opposed to intense. And connection to the environment is typically a neutral experience. We're always assuming no tigers coming at you. So practicing orientation is practicing neutral. You're at a cafe, seeing and hearing what's around. Your overall experience is neutral. I'm assuming you're actually oriented as opposed to hostaged by interior intensity. For example, social anxiety, hypervigilance, and seeing and hearing make you more uncomfortable. So practice orientation, get that going. That's number one. Now to number two, and the next slide. The title is, it's the number two one, build access to neutral and pleasure within orientation. And 5 items here. Number one, notice pleasure, pain, and neutral in orientation. Number two, notice the neutral of neutral experience. Number three, notice pleasure in neutral experience. Number four, notice any neutral in pleasure and pain. Number five, notice if neutral sustains when you increase pleasure. And let's go through each. Number one, notice pleasure, pain, and neutral in orientation. So orientation is overall a neutral experience. At the same time, and within the overall neutrality of orientation, there will be pleasure, pain, and neutral experience, which is healthy. You're at the cafe, seeing and hearing, you're looking around, you see someone who's wearing a shirt with a political statement that you strongly disagree with. You feel some pain. Then say your eyes turn to look at the wall, one of the walls in the cafe, and you feel neutral. It's a neutral experience looking at the wall. Then say your eyes turn to look at the pastries in the display case. And you like that. The pastries, you feel a little pleasure looking at the pastries. So there's an example of neutral pleasure and pain within the overall neutrality of orientation. Let's look at one more set of examples using hearing. You hear the music at the cafe, say, and you don't like it. You feel some pain. You also hear people chatting. You feel neutral with this. It's a neutral experience, hearing the chatting of the customers. And say, then one of the voices among the people chatting strikes your attention. The voice sounds good to you. You feel some pleasure. So there are some examples in hearing orientation of neutral pleasure and pain. So that's number one. Start noticing pleasure and pain and neutral within the overall neutral experience of orientation. And then you'll start getting better at noticing neutral, helped by the juxtaposition against pleasure and pain, and within the overall already neutral experience of orientation. So good practice with neutral there. Now, getting deeper, number two, notice the neutral of neutral experience. So say you're paying attention to the wall, which is giving you that neutral experience in contrast to the guy's shirt and the pastries. You're paying attention to the wall and to the neutral experience of it to amplify to yourself the experience of neutral. You're noticing into the neutral of neutral experience. To take the hearing example, You're paying attention to the chatter in general, which is a neutral experience, as opposed to the music or the voice that you are particularly attracted to and like. And you're amplifying to yourself the experience of neutral, the neutral in the neutral experience of hearing the chatter overall. So that's number two, the neutral of neutral experience. Number three, notice pleasure in neutral experience. So pleasure may become available as you look at the wall or hear the chatter. And any pleasure that it's available, notice that, lean into that. You're finding pleasure within neutral, practicing that. So neutral doesn't mean no responsiveness. It means the responsiveness is not intense. Attention to neutral improves your ability to notice low intensity responsiveness that's pleasant, finding pleasure in neutral. So that's number three, finding pleasure, noticing, finding, leaning into pleasure in neutral experience. So a comment on both two and three, both of them, noticing the neutral of neutral and noticing pleasure in neutral can happen at the same time. Neutral experience looking at the wall and some pleasure. You can switch between attention on the neutral and on the pleasure, and each reinforces the other. The more access to neutral, the more pleasure you can find in it. The more pleasure you can find in it, the easier it is to be in neutral because it feels good. All right, let's move to number four. Notice any neutral in pleasure and pain. So you're looking at the pastries, which is pleasurable in contrast to the neutrality of the wall. See if you can find neutral in it. So looking at the pastries, there's pleasure, and see if you can look at the pastries neutrally, have a more neutral connection to the pastries. You're practicing finding neutral in pleasure. Hearing the attractive voice is pleasurable. See if you can find neutral in it. Just hear the voice, which does give you pleasure, but hear it neutrally. Practice finding neutral in pleasure. And you can do it with pain if it's interesting to you. Uh, you're looking at the guy's t-shirt with the political statement that you strongly disagree with. There's pain, and see if you can look more neutrally at the guy's t-shirt. Or you're hearing the music that you don't like, it's painful. See if you can hear it more neutrally. So that's number four. Any neutral in pleasure and pain is good practice. And now number five, notice if neutral sustains when you increase pleasure. So let's say you're going to try to increase pleasure. You're looking at the pastries, and the practice here is try to get into the pleasure. I like looking at the pastries, and then I'm getting now positive memories come up of being in Europe and going to cafes and having coffee and pastries. So you're really digging into any pleasure available as you look at the pastries and see if neutral is sustained. Maybe it will be easily sustained. You feel as much pleasure as you can from the pastries and any kind of associations and memories of Europe, and orientation is still stable, and you can flip to a more neutral looking at the pastries. So that means neutral is very strong and stable. Or you notice if you lose it. So I'm looking at the pastries, I'm remembering Europe, and I was in Switzerland and fell for this Swiss Italian guy and followed him to Belgium where he broke my heart. And suddenly I have my orientation is lost. I'm just my attention is hostage in the pain of that memory. So that would be an example, purely hypothetical, of losing neutral. Okay, so there you have five practices within building access to neutral and pleasure within orientation. And thank you.